Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum, and if you're looking for a way to hard counter a steel ball crawler aggro, this is the game for you. At the bottom here we have Green Spirit playing as a marksman specialist up against Sparty playing as a giant specialist. I think Green Spirit is just above 2000 MMR and Sparty is above 1900 MMR. Alright, starting off, we have Ball Crawler and Wall Crawler coming in from our blue player and our defender on the Sparty. We have Storm Crawlers, Arclights, and a few pack of Fangs. Now, in the defensive position, I think Fangs work a little bit better than Crawlers because you know most of your army is just going to stand in the same spot and shoot. Fangs being a ranged chaff unit, it forces the attacker to move just slightly after he eliminates one of the chaff. So in this case, the steel balls are actually wasting a little bit of time moving forward instead of just constantly sit there and shoot if those fans were crawlers. Repositioning is added for Sparty. I think the goal here is to have unlocked Wasp and then reposition them back into something else. Green Spirit is currently ahead of the curve, knowing that there's probably going to be some sort of Wasp play, and decided to add in a Wraith. But the reason behind the Wraith is not entirely a read on the Wasp. The Wraith on its own is a very standard chaff clear method into this sort of steel ball crawler composition. I personally love to have Wraith Ball. It's a very difficult comp to defend against once your units start to get level. And you can go either way. If your opponent is trying to hard counter your air with the Wraith, you can always start teching up your balls. Or vice versa, if they're putting down scorpions, they're putting down a lot of chaff, you can always hit range and 8-gun on the Wraith and turn them into carry units. And then later on, then you can support them with units like Phoenixes or Melting Points or even boats. Alright, in this round, I think Green Spirit is going to get it because of this level 1 Wraith. Alright, getting to round 3, we have Reinforcement, 3 unit drops. Fire Badger is an amazing unit for a defender. I love to see Fire Badgers as a defender, and it is in fact picked up by Sparty. Green Spirit, Sandworm, having it in the back pocket is always good when you're having Ball Crawler Wraith. If your balls ever fail to work, you can always just drop the Sandworm in front of the balls. But instead, it's just going to be Typhoons. Typhoons is a curious choice. I mean, it does help with the chaff clear, but it's I don't know how good it is in a purely aggro position. I think the Sandworm would have been a little bit more flexible. Now, the reason I said the Fire Badger, they're amazing in this kind of comp is because with the Fire Badgers, you can essentially pivot your entire army to specialize against medium-sized or large units. The Fire Badgers with range and with napalm completely eliminates any sort of any sort of crawler play on the ground. So all there's left are just steel balls, typhoons, or sometimes Wraith, and that makes a comp with a lot of scorpions and a few melting points extremely potent. Now, when you're using Fire Badger, there's a very dirty trick that you can play. One is just put vertical fans all the way to the center, and that's going to pull all the unit towards that point. Like, for example, if you had a fan like right here. After that fan is destroyed, because the units already moved on the enemy board, they will continue to seek out the nearest enemy, which is going to be the next squad of fans. And what that does for the defender is that if you can get napalm just like in front of the Fire Badger, you're able to funnel pretty much every single army in like this entire radius towards that one point. Now imagine if all the crawlers are running through the pool of fire, that could be one of the most efficient way of getting through your opponent's chaff. All right, the Wraith are doing a lot of damage. Mass-produced Overlord is great for both players, really. I think for Sparty as a defender, taking mass-produced Overlord is a hedge against degen beam. You can always buy cheap Overlords with Photon to counteract that. For Green Spirit, I mean, because you're aggroing, Photon works really well. It increases the longevity of your units. And also mass-produced Overlords, they still do a considerable amount of damage. You don't really care about the range decrease because you are going aggro, so everybody is just going to be in front of your enemies. Anyways, so you don't really care. So I think that's a great card for both players. But it is going to be a skip. And for Green Spirit, also going to be another skip. So interesting play here. Oil went down on that side. Oil got ignited. I would much prefer the oil to just stay as oil. I think you get a lot more use out of that being the defender, but this is okay too. It is a little expensive though, right? It's 150 resource that you're not going to get back, and it's a one use only. And if you can't win this round, when by the looks of it, it doesn't look like you can win this round, I just feel so bad wasting money on that ability. All right, another unit drop. Scorpion is offered. I think Scorpion is definitely the great card to take. And the Sandworm being offered once again, and now back in level 2, being picked up by our blue player. So Sandworm, great choice coming to the other side. And with Sandworm, you can now pivot to just Wraith Worm without the need for Steel Balls. The Steel Balls themselves honestly didn't do too much last turn. And now that we have Scorpions on the board, I think there's going to be even more hesitation with keeping these Steel Balls onto the board. I think the Worm Wraith combo is going to be a lot more potent. Still no Napalm from the Fire Badger though. I think that is a missed opportunity. Right now, all these crawlers, if you're clicking onto them, are running towards the middle. I wouldn't mind putting another squad of fans just right here. That's going to pull everybody into the middle. All right, on the other side, we got Worm, we got more crawlers, and it's just going to be 2 level 2 raids. And they're still probably going to win the round because they're against 3 level 1 raids. And then, of course, degen beam is going to come into play in a huge manner. But the sheer damage output from this raid, right? They should be able to take down the level 1 stuff. Oh yeah, no problem. And the Sandworm lives too, and that means Sparty is going to take a huge hit from this loss. Alright. Iron Blast is one of those abilities that can completely change the course of the battle. M-Core is very strong on a Wraith. Increases HP, increases damage. I wouldn't be surprised if M-Core is being picked up and is dropping onto this level 3 raid. There it is. We have Barrier being picked up by Sparty. And that's going to go on a melting point. Interesting. I don't usually like to have melting points against a Worm Wraith. I think it's just, it has too many weaknesses to be exploited. For example, melting point right away, it's going to get hit with the Sandstorm if your chaff is being positioned a little bit too forward. So what will happen is that if your chaff is being positioned too forward and melting point is kind of on the edge of Sandstorm, it's going to get affected. And once it's affected, it's going to reduce its range by half, forcing the melting point to walk essentially half of 115. So that's like what, 60 meters almost at 6 meters per second. That's 10 seconds of melting point just walking. The other problem with melting point and also with Sandstorm is that every time the Sandworm jumps in and out, it resets the melting point's channel. And if it does enough times, then the melting point really isn't able to get this maximum benefit. So yeah, just a little too many problems with melting point against Sandworm, which is why I always prefer to go with boat with chain gun versus Worm Wraith, because the boat is great against the Wraith and the chain gun is great against the Sandworm. All right, we got the worm coming in. On that side, though, I think they are doing well. Now it's just a question of can this worm get the tower? It looks like it might actually be stuck on a melting point for a bit. Ooh, tower. Wow, that is super clutch. It did get that tower, and now it's back into the ground, which means this melting point is not able to give it full charge, and is going to be taken down. Another huge round for our blue player. And Sparty is now down to just 700 HP. Nano Repair Kit is a great card on a Sandworm, but I think Steel Ball Production is probably the better option. So it's going to be Steel Ball Production. Now for our red player, it's probably going to be Steel Ball Production too. I mean, that is just such a strong card. Bolts went down. Now with Photon, so it's going to give the left-hand side a little bit more longevity. Last time the left-hand side did not win outright, not until he got the tower anyways. Melting Point has got Suck. I still just don't think it's, you know, okay, so it's got Suck and it's got Multibeam. Multibeam was a great option against Steel Balls. Right now it's a little ballsy though, right? You got Multibeam, which reduces your melting point range. So now it only has 85 meters, and Smarty is way too broke to go with range in the same round. So he's just, I mean, triple teching on round 7 is just too much. If Green Spirit took range on the Steel Balls, the Steel Ball will actually outrange the Multibeam melting point, but it looks like he doesn't have enough after bringing the Overlords onto the board. So the Multibeam Melter is going to have a pretty good time this round, because he's able to lock on pretty much everything still outside of range and able to kill a lot of them. So good timing, and also very lucky. I feel like once you take range on the Steel Balls, you can shut down that multi-point a little bit sooner. But as it stands right now, I mean, they're just doing a tremendous amount of damage. All right, very well played by Sparty. Now let's see if there's a way to turn back. Multi-Melter, they have the exact same weakness against Sandworm as a regular Melter. It's just that with the Sandstorm, you cut the range by half, and then your Multi-Melter kind of have to walk in, right? But the Multi-Beam mechanic does negate some of the risk, which means you're not focusing a single beam's full charge onto the Sandworm, and if you don't kill it, and the Sandworm pops back into the ground, the rest of your beams are still doing damage to something else. Alright, 8 guns get picked up by Green Spirit. He is now only at 1294, which means he could potentially be dead if he cannot answer the multi-beam problem this turn. Range is picked up on the Steel Balls, very good. So range and Suck against multi-beam with Suck. Double oil, so getting one from the drop, and then also getting one from the tower. The one on the tower is off cooldown. The oil on the left is probably just going to be for burning. The oil on the right is going to do a lot more damage. All right, we got photon bows and a high level pack of Steel Balls heading straight into the tower. Now, unfortunately, these Steel Balls are going to get cut off because of this oil. Range is finally picked up by the multi-beam melter, and that is a critical technology because it allows you to lock on the weak beams onto these units a lot sooner. And that gives you the time to charge when the units are approaching. I mean, look at it. All the Steel Balls are currently being locked on. I mean, sure, they're level 3, they're huge Steel Balls, but still, these are multi-beam melters and they're on full charge. Now, the question is, can they actually get to the tower? And the answer is no, there's no tower, and you still have... Oh, there's one tower. The Sandworm did go down, but you don't really have anything else left. You got one Sandworm desperately fighting. Yeah, there's just not much, just not enough. Even if the Sandworm can kill these two, it's just a very difficult uphill battle. And that's it. We got 3 melting point left over, and that should seal the deal. So great game played by Sparty. Now, I want to try something. I want to see if just, what I was talking about all game, about how Melting Point is a risky play against Sandworm. I just want to see if I want to test that theory. I'm going to jump in here in the last turn as Green Spirit. Looking at the cards here, I'm probably... Heavy Armor is good value. And let's take Sandstorm on the Sandworm here. And let's just get 2 more Sandworm on the other side. We're going to take Heavy Armor. So the goal here is get the Sandworm, right? And put the Sandstorm onto them. And let the Steel Balls do the rest. So that's the goal anyways. We're going to take speed. I don't think range is necessarily required. I'm going to... Let's see here. I'm going to do this because it's going to go right in the middle of everything. So Sandstorm could work really well here. And let's just get through some chaff. I think the chaff is super annoying. It's either that or... Yeah, there's not much I can do. I mean, I could take temp range. But I am aggro, so I don't know if that makes that much of a difference. Let's just get through some chaff. It allows my units to get through the tower a little bit faster. Yep, I think that's it. Let's see how it works. Okay, Sandworm coming in. Sandworm popping Sandstorm. Right away, you see this Melting Point is being drawn to the side. Yeah, Sandworm goes under. Resets the Melting Point. Gets tower. Pops out. Kills the 2 Melting Point. Now the issue is they do have suck, which means they are being healed quite a lot. Alright, Sandworm goes back in, Sandworm pops out, kills the Melting Point, pops in, comes out, kills the Melting Point. And that's it. And he could have won the game with just Sandstorm. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this game. And if you like to watch more great games like this, here's another video for you. And I'll see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.